Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's listening session on the monumental opportunity. As you'll see in the next slide, tonight is the fourth edition of this listening session. Tonight's topic is small business and economic opportunity. If you missed the previous three sessions, they have all been recorded and are now available on monumentalalx.com. We also have been receiving hundreds of questions during these sessions and outside of the sessions, and we have started to publish them on that same website, monumentalalx.com, with answers. So if you've not been up to the site, you can go and scroll down to community engagement, and you'll find a link where you can go and see questions that were submitted both during these sessions and outside, as well as answers. We're continuing to answer those as quickly as we possibly can. And so please be sure to bookmark the page and go back and check often. So let's get to tonight's great panel. I'm going to ask all of the members of the panel to introduce themselves. We have their names on the next slide. As always, City Manager Jim Parajan is on and is listening, as am I, as well as moderating, but we're going to go around the panel and let them introduce themselves. We have people joining us to talk about small business and economic opportunity from the City of Alexandria, Monumental Sports, JBG Smith, and Clark Construction, who is involved in a number of large projects in Alexandria and around this region. And so we'll start with Christina.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Moruzo. I'm the Director of Small Business and Entrepreneurship at ADP. Our team assists small businesses through every phase of their entrepreneurial journey. And our goal is to see Alexandria businesses grow and thrive.
Great. Next up is Lee.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lee DeLong. I'm the CEO of the Capital Group for Clark Construction, which means that I'm responsible for our operations here in the DMV. We're delighted to be here tonight and help to bring to bear our experience on large and complicated projects. Thank you.
Hunter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hunter Lockman. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Monumental Sports. It's my 8th seasons here. I oversee marketing for many of the properties here with the particular focus on the Capitals and Wizards, and the way I kind of explain marketing is wherever you see the logos of our two brands, I have something to do with it. So look forward to chatting tonight.
Great. Welcome to Sindara.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Sindara Oikala. I work with Clark Construction as well. I'm Director of Corporate Affairs, and a lot of my work is focused on supporting small, diverse, and local businesses in, getting work with Clark and ensuring that they're successful in our projects.
Jackie.
Hi, guys. I'm Jackie, and I'm the Director of Retail Leasing at JBG Smith, and also a Virginian native. I lead the leasing and merchandising strategy for all of our new developments and existing assets, and I'm incredibly excited to talk about all that we have going on in National Landing. I also focus on our pre-development planning and merchandising, so I'm also an invested member of the community.
Great. And last, welcome back, Jordan.
Thanks. Hello, good to see everybody again. I'm Jordan Silverman. I'm president of venues for Monumental Sports and Entertainment. Been with the company. I've been here longer than Hunter now. I'm 14 years with MSC. I'm a DMV native, oversee all of our facility operations for Monumental Sports. So excited to chat with you guys.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're excited to dive in. We're going to go through a couple of slides just to set the table about opportunity, jobs, and development. So wanted to start with this slide that we've used in some previous presentations. While what we are talking about in Alexandria is the creation of an entertainment district, it very much is part of a larger corridor that has seen a lot of investment, but also still has a lot of growth to come. Anchored to the north by Amazon's HQ2, and then to the south by the Virginia Tech Innovation Campus and this entertainment and sports district that we're talking through. So on the next slide, we're zooming in then on Potomac Yard and providing a little bit of information, additional information about the type of development that we will be catalyzing by bringing Monumental Sports and their teams and businesses to Alexandria. We've pulled this information from a study that's available on the Monumental ALX website, but it shows you that over the course of a 15-year period, we will see close to 9.5 million square feet of new development happen. And with that type of development comes opportunities in planning and design, construction, and then ultimately in operating. And so for context, we've been talking a lot about the number of jobs and economic activity. When you start to look at these numbers, you start to understand where a lot of these jobs and economic opportunity will come from. On the next slide, we're talking a little bit here about the construction jobs. So the number that we have estimated and has been presented through our analysis is that more than 17,000 jobs, construction jobs, will be created. And as you saw in that last slide, the term of that construction period will begin as soon as 2025. And with that phased growth over the course of just Potomac Yard, we would see construction through 2036. So again, when you think about the scale of 9.5 million square feet, a lot of jobs, a lot of job opportunities. And while construction jobs are somewhat temporary, this is a longer period of time where you might imagine opportunities for people looking for employment. The second slide that we're going to show you about jobs, we're going to be sharing some more information tomorrow detailing the other sorts of jobs that will be created within this district. And so you see here, there are opportunities, or there will be opportunities in both the monumental properties, the arena, the performance venue, and the kind of the office building and media company. But there will also be a significant number of new jobs created in retail throughout the district, in the multifamily buildings. So think about property managers and maintenance jobs. You also will expect, or we expect, a significant amount of new employment in hotels and in office. And so you see now in this chart, you get a sense of how many jobs in these various categories will be created in this new district. Next slide is just a picture that we've shown before, again, to give people kind of the context of what the streetscape might look like. And so when we talk with Jackie later about retail merchandising and retail opportunities, you can conjure up this image as something that we aspire to create in Potomac Yard. Jackie, I'm sure we'll get some questions about this, but we wanted to put this up to many people have been into Northern National Landing in recent months, otherwise known as Crystal City. And JBG and Jackie specifically have done a lot of work to create this very interesting retail space called Water Park. And I have a couple of questions that we've received already, and I'm sure some will come in here. But what has been really stood out to those of us who live and work around here is their ability to bring in a number of new and independent retailers alongside some more established brands that people are familiar with. And so wanted to share this as sort of a comparable of how JBG thinks about retailing and how they might approach Potomac Yard. And then I think our final slide is, we never know who's going to be on the listening sessions. And so we assume and are hopeful that there might be some people who are thinking about businesses. And that's why we've asked Christina to join us. Our AEDP team works on a daily basis with business owners and entrepreneurs, from sort of pre-startup people who just have an idea all the way up through existing businesses. And one of the things that I think we want to make sure the community is thinking about is the opportunity to build this district is going to be, we have a really great kind of horizon to think about. And so it's very possible that you could be sitting in your house tonight with an idea for a business, and you could actually start to work with our AEDP team to work on a business plan and a financing plan, and then meet Jackie, and in 5 years, be one of the first tenants in some new space. That is possible. We are hopeful that we might have some stories like that. And so we wanted to make sure that people listening understand what some of those resources are, and that they are available. And so with that was sort of the table setting. We'll get into questions. We already have some submitted, and we'll start. Let's start with the Clark team. we've seen that the project has the potential to create thousands of construction jobs over several years. Can you talk about the kinds of opportunities that creates for workers as well as for other businesses?
Thank you, Stephanie. And, we know that projects of this magnitude are really a platform for economic growth. Similarly, size projects that we have delivered have provided for as many as 10,000 construction jobs and really meaningful opportunities for small, diverse companies, suppliers, and community-based businesses. From subcontractors that put work into place, through suppliers of materials, office supplies, caterers, etc. We anticipate a wide range of opportunities here in Alexandria. Work on site will include some really exciting construction jobs, equipment operators, plumbers, electricians, steel, concrete workers, all the way to finishes. So a real host of great construction jobs ahead.
Great. Another question for the Clark team is a question about how your procurement process works for hiring small, local, and diverse contractors and suppliers.
Sure. So, Clark has a robust process in place for getting small, diverse local businesses onto our jobs. Right now, we have a form that small businesses can fill out where we'll, get back to them within 2 weeks to understand their capabilities, understand their qualifications for being able to work on our jobs, and then connecting them with the teams that actually, the project teams that actually put that work in place. So that's one piece of, the small businesses getting on our jobs. But we also have what we call our strategic partnership program, which is a 10-month-long executive style MBA program, majorly for small, diverse local businesses within the construction industry, where we help them grow their size, scope, and scale, help them understand, what they need to do to be successful in the market, whether it is pricing their work correctly or understanding the schedule of the job. And that's something that obviously we would plan to also provide to the small, diverse, and local businesses who are interested in working on this project as well.
Great. We have a clarifying question that I will answer about the square feet. There was a question about on slide 2 when I showed the types of uses. I neglected to include the label that explained that those numbers mean square feet. And so thank you for putting the slide up. So when you see these numbers for office, as an example, that's 1.8 million square feet of new office space that will be constructed over the course of the term. And we expect to see here in multiple buildings throughout the district. For residential, that's 5.2 million square feet of new multifamily, most likely apartments throughout this district. So again, apologies for not labeling this correctly, but these are millions or I guess thousands of square feet. Let's see. Jordan, can you talk about some of the existing support and opportunities you've given to small and disadvantaged businesses in your existing facilities and how you might be able to expand those in Alexandria? Or Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter, why don't you start with this one?
Sure. One really good example that I wanted to highlight was our Black-owned DMV program we have with the Washington Wizards. I think we've had it 4 or 5 seasons now. Probably have highlighted over 60 businesses, including one in Alexandria, Harambe Books. What's great about it is our spectrum of assets we can do to promote these small businesses. We have millions of followers on social media. They come to the games, they see presentations, they see the videos. So we really get to shine a positive light on these folks. One example I'll take even further is DC Proper was a small, really small business retail. He ended up coming on board in Arena, working with Fanatics, who's a global company. And there's probably a dozen other stories like that. So that's just one of the many things we've highlighted.
Just to build, I think we have an amazing platform to help, elevate the profile of small business, through the work that Hunter's done through the teams and what we've done through some of our concerts and, gifting to artists and promoters as they come through the facility. we have a unique platform to reach a lot of people. And we're excited to be able to take that to Alexandria.
Great. Jackie, can you tell us about the existing programs and projects JBG Smith has to help and promote local businesses and entrepreneurs? And a similar question is rental assistance or ways that you're helping kind of newer businesses, smaller businesses, when you think about merchandising and your development.
Absolutely. As you mentioned earlier about the water park, I'd love to speak a little bit about the water park and National Landing, which was a project that we unveiled late last year in October. At the water park, we have 9 turnkey kiosks. And I'm sure as many of you guys know, turnkey means exactly as it sounds. We delivered these kiosks fully equipped with all of the basic appliances that are necessary to run a kitchen. One of the main barriers for entry for small and especially local businesses are the startup costs associated with getting open. The build out and equipment alone are incredibly expensive. So by eliminating these hurdles, we were really able to focus exclusively on local and small businesses. And I'm proud to say that we were able to deliver on that goal, and we leased to 100% local and 80% minority and women-owned businesses. And in doing so, we've been able to give these diverse groups a platform to succeed that, they may not have been able to reach otherwise just due to capital constraints. But, at JBG Smith, we really see placemaking and retail as an opportunity to create an organic and diverse and hyper-local community that represents the people that are living in it. So in the planning stages through opening, we've been able to provide assistance with branding and also have offered menu consultations and business plan workshops because we really see it as a partnership. These kiosks and the future tenants at the arena are our partners, and we really want to see them succeed. And so we're going to do that by whatever means necessary. And to note on your comment about the rental assistance, yes, we always get creative with our deal structures. At the water park specifically, we did 1 to 3 year leases to keep them really manageable. And unlike traditional retail leases that are about 10 years, we wanted to keep it more flexible. So, if after a year of operating, you feel like it isn't the right fit for you, or you want to pivot to do something else, you have the flexibility to do so. And then in terms of the rental assistance, we structured these as percentage rent. Like I mentioned before, we see it as your win is our win. And so through that percentage rent, you have little risk in those monthly fixed base rent costs, and you're really directly tied to performance.
Great. Christina, we have a question about existing small businesses. How can they best start to prepare themselves for the opportunities and maybe the challenge of thinking about maybe a second location or something that this project might present the opportunity? Are there any programs or help that AEDP provides to specifically support existing businesses like that?
Certainly. Actually, as I stated, our job is to help businesses in all phases, be they startups, the growth phase, or expansion phase. And we do it through what we call the 3 pillars. So starting with the first one, we're looking at access to capital. And while we don't always have grants, we do provide lots of guidance, resources, connections, so that all the businesses have access to capital. Then we have tons of one-on-one specialized counseling and workshops. So all of this, by the way, is free. There's absolutely no cost. And so it's assistance that is targeted to the needs of these businesses. And then there's this part is ecosystem building. What does this mean? That we can assist these businesses in strategizing and readying themselves for this incredible opportunity. We know that it's 5 years away. So there is time to devise strategies on how to best leverage it. And what we're looking to do is to help position all our small businesses to do this. We want them to be competitive in the marketplace, to adapt to changing trends, and to take advantage of opportunities that they arise. And I want to say, again, our workshops and one-on-one counseling deal with this. We are here to help you grow. please don't think you have to do this journey on your own. We're here to walk it with you.
For the Monumental team, there's a question about what will happen to some of the DC businesses that you're already partnering with a move to Virginia?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, I think that we look at this as an expansion. We still represent the fabric of the entire DMV. And while we may be expanding into Virginia, we will still continue to highlight and represent the other elements of what make up this region. So, I think there are things that Hunter can probably speak to and how we highlight that through our teams. But this is still an entire region, and we're here to support the entire region.
And I would add to that, another example, there's another retailer, Chris Pirate from Southeast DC. We formed a relationship with him a couple years ago. Now we're in year 3. And it's one of these things that's just getting started. And there's, again, probably another dozen like that. And I would also add, one of the neat things about my job is storytelling. Even with the DMV usage, we were the first team of any team in the DC area to have DMV on one of our jerseys. It was actually a Wizard jersey. And what we're so fortunate about is our fans are so passionate to be aligned with us in any way. And that's what we get to shine through in all of our storytelling. So that's the fun thing. And like Jordan said, we get a look at, and I can't wait to dive into Alexandria and get to understand it and tell some of those stories through our opportunities.
For the Clark team, question about job opportunities, and how do you protect, or I guess maybe there's 2 questions here. I'll start with the first one. What are your protections for workers, and how this project is going to keep workers safe and paid fairly? And do you give priority to local workers and businesses?
Yeah, well, thank you, Stephanie. It's a great question. And let me first address safety. Safety is one of our core values, the safe conduct of each and every worker on our project sites. We have a rigorous program, including a comprehensive on-site, specifically tailored to the project orientation. And we review that with each trade member prior to their work on site. In addition, there are daily safe plan of action meetings. And so we use those really as we plan the work to ensure that safety is woven into everything that we do. We strive to be a leader in the industry. As an example, we were among the first to require that our safety helmets have chin straps so that our hard hats stay on. The traditional hard hats, as we know, could fall off and leave a worker exposed. So our safety plans are tailored to each and every project site. We do so because we believe that each one of our trade partners deserves to arrive at home in the same way that they showed up to work early that day. As to your other questions, just as we have done on similar projects, we will implement a comprehensive program of labor standards, workforce, and community policies that will pay fair and prevailing wages, will monitor compliance and worker classification, will track local hiring, and create great opportunities for all local, small, and diverse businesses.
Some questions and similar questions for Monumental about kind of job opportunities, quality of jobs. What can you share with us about how you're going to approach, and also any opportunities for preference for Alexandrians? Can you tell us a little bit how you're thinking about 5 years from now, we're opening your facilities, how you would go about staffing and what those jobs might look like?
Yeah, I mean, you're only as good as your people, and it takes a lot of people to run events. So we need to make sure that we're going to be staffed appropriately, and that means we have a great staff at Capital One Arena, that we hope will work in Alexandria, but hope to add jobs too, especially with adding the performance venue. So it's net new jobs as we expand into Virginia, but it's part-time workforce, it's full-time workforce. We expect a lot of jobs to open up because of our move, and again, we're 5 years away, but we will start to post those as they become available, and on our website through monumentalsports.com and our career page.
Maybe a follow-up. Somebody said that at Cap One you work with unions. Do you plan to continue working with unions in the new facility?
Of course, our track record with unions dates back to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. We have relationships with SCIU, Local 32 BJ, IATSE, Local 22, the operating engineers, Local 99. Our concessions operator, Aramark, has an agreement with Unite Here, Local 23, and it's in our intention for those union jobs to come over to Alexandria as well. So, we have a great track record, and like I said, great workforce here with us at Cap One today. And we expect to, have good union jobs in Alexandria as well.
Jackie, I saw you just live answered a question of an inventor / small business person looking for opportunity. But we have some other questions about how did you source the businesses that went into like water park, and what sort of incubator or things like that did you learn from water park that you might think about in Potomac Yard?
Yeah, that's a great question. We as a team do a ton of prospecting and research. We're always fielding referrals and really listening to the community. For water park, as soon as we broke ground, I was out in the local community every week, visiting farmers markets, attending events, tracking new food trucks and just talking to residents. And we'd take that same approach here with the arena. We want to create something that the residents want to come back to. And that means that we're going to need your feedback. We rely on it. And I can't reiterate enough just how much we value that. Like I said earlier, I live in Arlington, and within Arlington, there are so many micro communities, and within each community, residents of that community know exactly what that pocket of the neighborhood needs and what they'd like to see. So the same thing applies to Potomac Yards. We'd want to hear from people who live locally what they'd like to see, and we're going to continue to research and immerse ourselves. And but similar to that question, reach out to me, tell me what business idea you have, and I'd love to talk to you.
Well, and I'm guessing that people like Christina and AEDP who are meeting with potential business ideas, that you're open to having a flow of kind of a pipeline, right, of people to look at.
Yeah. That was immediately what I thought of, was Christina and I need to have a great working relationship over the next few years. And the one thing that's wonderful about, how many years we have until this is built is that we have the time to do so. So if you're a new business and you want to get started with that guidance, I think Christina's the perfect person to go to. And when you're ready to explore retail options, come to me. Let's talk through what we have available, whether it's temporary, like the kiosks, and something where you can really just get your feet wet and start out. That's great. Or if you're ready for a full brick and mortar, I'm happy to discuss that too.
For the Clark team, how do you manage external impact of subcontractor employees parking in nearby neighborhoods?
Thanks, Stephanie. So, we know that it's imperative of us to be a good neighbor. And construction construction happens as an event. And it's a one-time event, but it's incumbent upon us to manage, to manage that. As we do on all large projects, we'll work collaboratively with both the owner and the city of Alexandria to develop an all-inclusive maintenance of traffic program. And that will include not only elements for transportation, but also workforce parking. Our goal is always to minimize the impact of construction on the surrounding neighborhoods.
Maybe for the monumental team, with Virginia Tech Innovation Campus next door, are there opportunities, or I guess one, do you see it as an asset? And are there opportunities, job opportunities related to that potential partnership or that neighbor, thinking about the students and potential entrepreneurs there?
The short answer is yes. The long answer is very much so because of, I think you think about our business and, sports and entertainment, about the data element of it and analyzing stats, player movements and, the future of sports and the direction that it's headed and what an engineer could do with that. But I also think that there are operational elements too that we would love to weave into the project. I think that there's news of the NBA All-Star game. They're going to have an LED court at the NBA All-Star game. And, I think as we start thinking about what this arena and campus can be, we talk about, want to have the next, and we'd love to tap into Virginia Tech students to help us develop that. So whether it's the next LED basketball court or, automated concessions or whatever the offering is, but studying the travel path to make the most efficient way to get your beer at intermission, like, and being able to send a message to people on their app and their phone saying, if you want to, here's your wait time at a concession stand, like things like that. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for us to partner with Virginia Tech.
Great. Maybe for all three, for Clark and for Monumental and for JBG, any opportunities for apprenticeships, summer jobs, thinking about Alexandria youth?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. We're going to have internship applications for working at JBG. If that interests you, being on the developer side of things, again, please reach out to me and I will find the right person or recruiter for you to talk to internally. Pass it over to you guys too.
Lee, are you going to chime in here?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes. Certainly projects like this are not only a huge source of pride, but also a catalyst for growth and development. And we are the beneficiaries of that through apprenticeship programs and internships as well. Internships on the Clark construction side, but also apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeships, and other training programs to attract residents and the local population into the trades. So yes and yes.
I think there's such a unique opportunity with the trades and developing the next generation of people for that workforce within this project, and the opportunity that will be created because of it is really unique, and I think it's an important part of the entire project for us, is just being able to commit to getting more people in those specific skill sets. And
We
we have
have
a lot of internships too at Monumental. A lot. There's a lot, and most of them work for Hunter. And so Hunter, I don't know if you want to.
We also have not necessarily internships, but game night staff where we bring in scores of young folks to help with giveaways and all of the marketing elements we discussed.
We have a few more questions about parking, and just some examples of recent projects where the construction worker parking was 2 miles away. And so what ended up happening was, that the construction workers found other parking proximate. So Lee already told us a little bit about it. I'm actually wondering if Jackie can tell us a little bit, tell us about how you're thinking about this overall district and how you have phased construction in other places.
100%. We have a ton of parking in Crystal City, and I know that that doesn't exactly solve the problem of it being, a little further away, but we could definitely coordinate buses. Sindara, we had talked about that a little bit offline, but I think, it's really going to be offering up, we have some vacant sites, we have some garage parking, and really just utilizing that for the foreseeable future. And Stephanie, it's going to be like enforcing, the parking in the neighborhoods, because we hear you. I understand if I were living there, I would want to be able to park my own car. So we get it, we hear you, and we're going to solve for that.
I guess I would just add on to Jackie's point that this is a familiar place for us. We certainly, again, strive to be a good neighbor. I think it's an advantage for us that we're right on the metro stop, and that continues to be a greater and greater source of construction craft workers being to and from the site.
And I saw a question come through about game night staff and the people who are working at the facility. You know, the same thing goes with our, we have to be good neighbors, and part of that is, making sure that people aren't parking in neighborhoods, and there's a limited supply of below grade parking, but there's plenty of surface level and local garages that are available. And if 50% of our fans are coming via public transportation, it's a higher percentage for staff, and for the 25% or so that are driving, we'll make arrangements for them to park in some of those other garages and make sure they can get transferred back and forth between the arena and entertainment facility.
Well, Jordan, I'll do a quick plug. As a future employer in Alexandria, the city has a great team who works in our transportation department, who works specifically with employers to help figure out how to provide transit benefits and really encourage their employees to utilize all of the great transit that we have throughout the city. So I am sure our teammates at the city are anxious to meet you when you arrive. Christina, I'm going to give you a chance to plug any planned upcoming kind of programming around entrepreneurship or new services that your team is introducing when you think about this opportunity.
Well, certainly, and thank you so much. This is a great question, Stephanie. I'm going to start with one that I think is absolutely amazing. This is coming up on February 27th, and it's a fireside chat with Melissa Bradley of 1863 Ventures. And this conversation, which is hosted jointly with ADP, will delve into the challenges and opportunities faced by new majority entrepreneurs. So we know that there are socially and economically underserved communities. How do we challenge that? And how do we work with these entrepreneurs? So we're starting with this chat, which will be absolutely amazing. We also have, as I said it earlier, quite a few workshops coming up. I do want to highlight a few because I think they're extremely important. A number of them deal with procurement because procurement is extremely important. One, in partnership with the City of Alexandria, is the City of Alexandria procurement process. We're also doing SWAM certification, and SWAM stands for Small Women-Owned and Minority-Owned Certification. So we're doing intro to state of Virginia, government contracting. Also, for any entrepreneur based in Alexandria who is looking for women-based certification, we will help you, and those are one-on-one consultations. And then we've got a ton more dealing with Corporate Transparency Act. Some that I really also will like to focus on is filing and paying your business taxes electronically, and anything and everything that deals with tax season. Again, I want to reiterate, you're not alone. We're starting with this, and from that, we're jumping into marketing. We're doing a lot of work dealing with AI and a lot more. So watch out for this. They're going to be published on our website starting next month, but you can always reach out to us before then.
Thank you. I know one of the things that your team does too, Christina, is help smaller businesses who are trying to get permits and go through kind of the act of opening a storefront. That we're a great resource. AEDP is a great resource for that. But there was a specific question about some businesses having frustration about getting through approval processes, and I wondered, maybe for Jackie, as you build out spaces and you bring in potential first-time businesses, how does JBG as sort of landlord help them go through and get their internal designs. I mean, again, I know our city process is very easy and very streamlined, but for people who are new to it, it can be a bit of a challenge. And so, any thoughts on how JBG might be thinking about streamlining and helping their tenants get from concept to open door?
Yeah. The thing that's great about JBG Smith is everything is internal. We have a dedicated retail design and construction manager for each of our projects that we're working on. So once the lease is signed, that dedicated person works with you through getting your business license, applying for permits, any type of inspection, and they really have a checklist following you along the way. It's an incredible resource, and it is completely free to all retail tenants that do a deal with us. So I highly encourage you to utilize them. Our team that we have is very, very talented. Some of them are former architects, and they are just, they're wonderful. So we have that internally, and like Stephanie said, Alexandria is so great to work with. So I think it'll be a great partnership.
I'm wondering if my parents are on here. There's a question about whether there will be part-time opportunities for retired seniors.
Yeah, that might be my dad too. I'm sure there will be, absolutely.
We have a lot of great jobs and part-time staff that is filled by retirees. What better job than, watching a Caps or a Wizards game or a concert? So, yes.
Great.
And from a comfortable
Go
position,
ahead.
you have a comfortable position if you're watching the game. You're not getting elbowed, you're not getting a drink poured on you or popcorn. I mean, what could be better?
Yes. Maybe for Sindara and then maybe Jackie, our city talks it talks a lot about, and we learned a lot actually over the pandemic about minority and underrepresented business owners. And one of our challenges in providing kind of assistance is reaching them. And so curious from Clark's perspective and JBG's perspective about any tactics or ideas that you have to help identify businesses or contractors in those spaces so that to help them learn about the opportunities that are going to exist.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. That's a great question. So Clark puts on a lot of outreach events for small, local, diverse businesses just to make sure that we're constantly being aware of businesses as they come up, as they grow, and as they build their capacity. For instance, at the end of this month, we will be having an outreach event in the Alexandria area for some of the projects that we are building in the area. Look out for more on that opportunity. We're still working out some of the finer points, but AEDP will have all of the information within the next week, and they will post about it. One other point that I did want to mention, like I had talked about before, we do have our trade contractor interest form. So if you are a small business in the contracting space and you are interested in working with Clark, you can go on the clarkconstruction.com website and look for the trade business with us, and then go to trade contractors, and you can fill in the information. We will get in touch with you within 2 weeks and then have a conversation to understand, your capacity to work with Clark. So those are two of the opportunities at this point.
Yeah, those are great. And when you're saying that, I'm thinking we should also do some type of retail workshop for people to come attend. Again, since we have the time to do it, I think it would be great to just continue to field more and more interest. Historically, we're constantly trying to reach out and through different methods. I've noticed that a lot of like locally owned, minority owned groups are owner operators. They all have their own social media account that they operate. They're not hiring an external agency to manage it for them. And so just persistent and continual outreach by all methods, looking on the website, I email all the time. But again, I want to put my contact information out there so that you can reach out to me. I'd be the person to contact if you want to discuss retail opportunities.
Great. Jackie, there's a question here that reminds me of some other questions that we have been receiving. Concern about sort of threat to our main streets. This question is about pressure on parking in Delray, and how do we make sure that the small businesses that kind of rely on easy access don't suffer when something much larger gets built close by. And I know I've talked to you about this before. As you have been building out parts of National Landing, kind of the main street there is 23rd Street with all of these independent businesses. And so are there any lessons learned or observations you have about how to build something of a scale like this entertainment district while making sure that the small businesses adjacent aren't negatively impacted?
Yes. Absolutely. And I can see why someone might think that. I think the key part for us is with all of our developments, we start by just identifying voids in the market and then looking to solve for them and see what's missing. And it takes years and it's a process, but our focus is to complement what's existing and enhance it, not replace. As the Potomac Yard neighborhood continues to grow, like so will the retail, and there will be room for both. You know, we're not looking to just take a national chain and just replace all of the local spots that everyone has come to love. I think we're really just focusing on enhancing what's not there today. And in regards to the parking, I think we're going to try to solve for that with parking on site and having parking available for our retailers and retail customers. You know, that doesn't solve it overnight, and people will still do that, but I think it's the commitment to having that available.
I said I wasn't going to ask the city manager a question, but I am going to put him on the spot. There's a question about who pays for parking enforcement, kind of while the facility is being built, and then afterwards. And the person also thinks that parking enforcement in Old Town is insufficient. And as saying for a friend, I know someone who got a ticket recently. I know that you have put in place some new tools for enforcement. So anything that you can share about how that might be treated in this new district?
Well, thanks for the question. So I get a chance to stop listening and answer. That's great. Parking enforcement is a city responsibility, and we will do that. This project will present some unique challenges related to that because of some of our neighborhood protection elements and neighborhood planning that we want to do. So a different level of enforcement and scaling up is going to be necessary. Right now, we have both staff enforcement, and we have brought on a contractor that can scale up much quicker than a city organization can staff up as it relates to parking enforcement. So it'll be a combination of city staff as well as a contract with a company that provides that service. And certainly during events and things like that, where there is the potential for people to park in the wrong spots in neighborhoods, that will increase our enforcement activity real time in those areas. And that's really how we plan to operate. I will also tell you that since we have entered into the contract, our level of enforcement has grown dramatically, including in the Old Town area. It still is, obviously there's some parking challenges, but we are making pretty significant progress in regard to enforcement methods, particularly around intersection crosswalks, which relate to pedestrian safety.
Jackie, there's a question about whether JBG Smith could or would reach out to the Alexandria Chiricahua business community to identify and potentially recruit some Hispanic businesses.
Yes, we'd love that. And if you have referrals or groups that you have in mind, please reach out to me or send them my way. Like I mentioned earlier, like referrals are a big part of our business. And if there's something special that you think would, complement the Arena District, I want to hear from you.
Great. To the Clark team, if the project moves forward and construction begins, how do you keep nearby residents and businesses informed of progress and milestones and potential impacts?
Thanks, Stephanie. The success of any project that we do is not only measured on about what happens on site, but it's also measured by, again, how we are a good neighbor and how we keep the community informed. At a recent project just to the north of here, we used a number of ways to keep the community informed. There will be a project-specific website. We will push updates from that website on major construction milestones. And then we'll also participate in community events. At this other project, we were a main participant in some farmers markets and other things. So, no one likes surprises. A steady stream of communication about schedule, things happening in the streets, and really some excitement around the project, we think is a great way to integrate with the community and keep everyone informed and excited about what's to come.
Jim, follow-up question for you. As the parking enforcement is ramped up, whose budget does that fall under? Is it the existing city budget or part of the arena budget?
Sure. So it's really a combination. There's going to be some enforcement activities that are typical that we would do in the normal course of business that will become part of and are part of the city's budget, just a normal course of business. And then certainly during events and some of those things where there's a heightened level of parking enforcement, that will be a cost that is embedded in the revenues generated by the project over a period of time. But it will still be a city responsibility to make sure that proper protection of our neighborhoods is at the forefront of how we think about this project.
Okay, great. I think we've gotten through almost all the questions. I have one question left here about transportation that I'm going to answer and transition into next events. But I'll give our panelists, if there's any topic you feel like we didn't cover that you want to say anything about, final chance. Okay. I'm going to ask then I think we have had one more slide to use about upcoming continued engagement opportunities. And so if we can put that back up, thank you very much. So we started last week doing pop-up events, and the first one was held at the Chick Armstrong Recreation Center last weekend. There was a great turnout. This weekend, we're pretty sure that the Safeway on Super Bowl Sunday, there probably will be no one there. But we will have a team there to talk to people kind of coming in, having questions, etc. Every city council legislative meeting, those happen every 2 weeks ish, depending, they're 2 a month, generally every 2 weeks. But during those meetings, we give an update on general project updates. So anything that is new or changed, whether it has to do with the legislative process in Richmond or new information that we're able to share. And then the last question that we had, and the last bullet on here, the question that we had was about intersections that already are somewhat dangerous, and whether the state and local governments are going to be working with civic associations to ensure that the road infrastructure can support the project. And so last week during this session, we released literally hot off the presses a analysis that was conducted on behalf of the Commonwealth that identified projects that would need to be improved upon or undertaken in order to efficiently and safely move people to and through this new district. And so that information was shared in this session last week. In addition to that presentation, there was a more detailed analysis that was prepared by Kimberly Horn that we also released that same evening. And so they've been out sort of in the world now for about a week, and we know that there are a lot more questions, comments, ideas that we want to walk through with our partners at the state and with the professionals who prepared this analysis. And so we are working to finalize what we'd call a community conversation. So an opportunity for the community to ask questions directly of the state and of the engineers and professionals who prepared those reports, and start to talk through specific intersections, specific projects that we would all like to see happen kind of alongside a project like that. So stay tuned. As I said, we're in the final stages of planning that. And I think with that, that was the last question that we hadn't covered. There were a few other comments that came through. As I said at the beginning of this meeting, we are taking every question that comes in and we'll be putting it up on the website. And if there's a question that wasn't sort of specific to tonight's topic, we will answer that and put it up. If it was a comment, we will acknowledge and thank you for your comments. And with that, we will end tonight's listening session and thank our panelists and thank all of the attendees for your time and attention. I hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.